What is up, guys? Digital VFX here once again, and I am here today with the fourth video of FLFX, and this one is going to be on the Fruity Parametric EQ, which a lot of you probably know. It's the EQ that is built in. I believe they have two of them in FL, and they have Parametric EQ 1 and 2. A lot of people like 2 just because it's more visually appealing. They have the window where you can actually view the spectrum of the sound, and you know it's nice and colorful, and just a lot of people like it because you know it's easy to look at, easy to use, that type of thing. So to catch up to speed, what I've done so far is I've just added a 3x OSC and a snare to my playlist, or the pattern selector, whatever it's called, sequencer, yeah, step sequencer. I added them in there, and then I just added them to the mixer and added an EQ onto each track. So that's where I left off, and I can continue right now. So here is your parametric EQ. The reason I say that is because there are 3 parameters you can adjust, and that would be amplitude right here, frequency, and bandwidth. And that was kind of a bad example to show bandwidth. There we go. So that makes this a parametric EQ. It's not just some crazy name that Fruity Loops came up with. It is an actual thing, and it means that you can adjust those 3 parameters. This is as opposed to a graphic EQ where you can only adjust 1 parameter, being amplitude, because there are a bunch of preset frequencies that you are allowed to adjust that amplitude. So you can't pick which frequency, but there's normally, you know, 31 or so bands that you can adjust and kind of control those highs and lows. Obviously a parametric EQ is a lot better, and you're about to see why. So if I want to do something such as a low pass filter, you know, you would cut all the highs, and you'd basically just drag this 7th band down. And I probably should start over here in the band window, and we have bands 1, which is the purple, through bands 7, which is the blue. And obviously, as you can tell, these sliders right here are the amplitude. And to the far left over here, this slider controls kind of the overall volume of the EQ. It's not necessarily a volume control of whatever sound you're sampling or EQing, but it almost works in the same way. Like, as you can see, if I play a note and bring it all the way down, you can still hear it. So it's not a complete volume control, but it kind of works in that way. But it pretty much just EQs all the frequencies and just cuts them. So as I was saying about this bandpass filter in here, you have this window where you can view your sound, and as you've seen multiple times, there's a spectrum on there that shows you, you know, the brighter the colors, the more intense the sound is, and you know, the weaker the colors, the weaker the sound is, you know. So as you can see, that's a good way to tell what frequencies you can cut if you can hear them. So if we want to get rid of that fundamental tone right there, if we want to just get rid of that one tone, we could turn up the bandpass a lot, and that's traditionally what a bandpass would be used for, is kind of pinpointing a particular tone and, you know, removing that one tone that you don't want. So that's a bandpass filter. As you can see, I just kind of picked out the frequency, brought the amplitude down, and then just narrowed the bandwidth, and that would cut out that particular frequency. So I think I never really completed the low pass, but so you drag this down, and then you'd pretty much just adjust the cutoff frequency. And because this is native to FL Studio, you can right click and create an automation clip, which would pretty much, if you were to set the value high and then automate it to decrease over time, it would pretty much fade this down, and it would make this type of effect. If you wanted a low pass filter like that. And on the opposite side, you can do the same thing with the other filter, oh, not the other filter, but the band having to do with the low end. And and you could do the same type of thing with a high pass filter. And that doesn't limit you to just the first and the seventh band. You can do the same type of thing if you want to bring the second band down, you know, and do a second. If you have the first band down like that and then bring the second, once you get up here, it'll kind of make a band pass filter, and then it'll make a low pass. So, you know, there's a bunch of crazy things you can do and try out different stuff if you want a cool effect or something unique. So as you can see, that sounded a little bit different when you have a low pass, or excuse me, when you have a high pass and then you're kind of fading it in and it creates a band pass into a low pass. So there's a bunch of different stuff you can do there and try different techniques out. So that's pretty self-explanatory for these two windows, and underneath you have just some basic options that you're not really going to touch while using the EQ, but I'll go over them for the sake of going over them. You just have this this drop-down window that has some information about it, lock spare state, high precision monitor, about. I've never really touched those. High Q, which just toggles on and off for I cannot talk today. Wow. It just toggles on and off for high quality. So when you're, you know, EQing, it'll be high quality sounds as opposed to like a draft quality you might see in other plugins. So normally just keep that on high quality. It's not gonna, you know, make your computer lag anymore if you have that on. And moving to the right, you have this this band token toggle, which these little dots are called tokens, the things that you can move and adjust. So this just toggles on and off if you want to just see dots as opposed to, you know, these big things. But I prefer the big things. They're easy to see. They're nice. So moving to the right, you have your monitor modes, which is monitor off, monitor set to view the input, and view the output. And this is not the audio monitoring. This is the visual spectrum that is put on this little graphical window right here. So if you play a note, we're viewing the output, viewing the input, which is technically the same thing because we're not really EQing anything out of it, and then your monitor off. So you can still hear sound, but you just won't see the visualizer in that window. Over here in this compare window, to be honest, I'm not really sure what this does. It's nothing for the sound. Over here, if you look in the information window, it says store in spare state and flip with spare state. I'm not really sure what that means in this application, so if you know that, feel free to throw it down in the comments or look it up if you don't know, but I'm not really sure what that means. I don't think it's really important for the EQ, as long as you have a grasp on the faders over here and, you know, the window over here where you can, technically you don't even need to touch these faders if you just want to play like this. You can scroll for the bandwidth. So yeah, you can use it either way you want. So I hope this video helped. Like I said, as always on these types of videos, if I missed anything or you have a question or I wasn't clear, feel free to comment in the bottom. Rate, subscribe, you know, all your feedback means a lot. It really helps me and my channel grow. But as always, this has been a Digital VFX production, and thanks for watching.